He said, I don't understand it. I love this lady. I'll never find another person like her. He thought he had seen his best days. And he grieved that loss. He went through a season of mourning, but he didn't let it turn into a lifetime of mourning. It didn't happen overnight, but eventually he got his passion back. He put on a new attitude. He made the decision he wasn't going to live life looking in the rearview mirror, kept moving forward. About 3 years later, he met this beautiful young lady. They ended up falling in love, getting married. He told me, Joel, I have never been this happy in all of my life. I never knew what true love really was. And this is the way God is. If you'll let go of the ashes, not get bitter, God will do something greater than you've ever imagined. When my father was alive, I used to tell Victoria, I wonder what's going to happen to me and what's going to happen around here when my father goes to be with the Lord. My father and I, we had traveled the world together for 17 years. I worked with him day in and day out here at the ministry. He'd come over to our house many nights. We'd have dinner, go watch the Astros play baseball. Much of my world was built around my father. In the back of my mind, I thought, when my dad dies, it will never be as good as it is right now. When my dad went to be with the Lord, 1999, he suddenly had a heart attack. I mourned the loss of my father, but I didn't get bitter. Didn't have a chip on my shoulder. I didn't feel cheated. I knew the number of my father's days God had fulfilled. I knew it was a part of God's plan. And I say this very respectfully because I still love and miss my father. But what I thought would be my darkest hour turned out to be my brightest hour. I thought I could never be as happy and fulfilled as when my dad was here. But like with Samuel, God had another plan. God had something better for the new season of my life. When you go through a loss, a disappointment, it's easy to think it'll never be like it used to be. If you'll stay in faith and keep moving forward, you're right. It won't be what it used to be. It will be better than it used to be. That's the way our God is. That's beauty for ashes. Now, my question, are you still mourning over something that you should be over? If you'll fill your horn with oil, put on the new attitude, start moving forward, you will see the better things that God has in store. And in life, we all have to deal with some kind of loss. Loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a dream, loss of a relationship. And it's tempting to feel like something was taken away from us. Something was stolen. You can have one of two attitudes. You can say, God, it's not fair. I don't understand it. How could you let that happen to me? You can get angry, bitter, pass blame. But a much better approach is to take that loss and sow it as a seed. Say, God, I don't know why this was taken away, but I'm not going to let anyone steal from me. I'm sowing this as a seed, trusting you to bring me a harvest. In other words, you didn't get a promotion that you deserved. Don't get bitter. Have the attitude, nobody stole this promotion from me. God, I'm sowing it as a seed, believing that you'll bring me an even better position. A relationship didn't work out. God, I'm not going to live my life sour, thinking that I've wasted months or even years of my life. I'm sowing this as a seed, knowing that you will bring the right person into my life. See, you can't have a victim mentality. Oh man, I've been robbed. My loved one was taken away. No, turn it around. Give it to God. Sow it as a seed, and you'll be amazed at what kind of harvest God will bring you. I saw a story on the news several years ago about this young mountain climber. He was in a remote section of Utah, hiking through the canyon all alone, when suddenly this 800-pound boulder shifted and his right arm became stuck. For 5 days, he tried everything he could to free himself. He had a small pocket knife. Hour after hour, he chipped away at that boulder to no avail. When that didn't work, he tried to use some of his climbing equipment to somehow shift the rock. Again, it wouldn't even budge. On the third day, he ran out of food and water. By this time, his arm was no longer alive. He had no feeling in it, had no blood going to it for days. It was cold, hard, stiff. It looked like he was going to die with it. Didn't seem like there was any way out. But on the 5th day, he made a decision to do the unthinkable. He knew he had to cut off his arm if he was going to be able to live. He put a tourniquet on up here. Somehow, some way, he amputated his own arm. He then walked for 2 miles. Somebody ran into him. Miraculously, his life was saved. And in a sense, we all come to places like this in life where something is over and done. There's nothing more we can do about it. We may not understand it. It may not have been fair, but none of that changes the fact that it's no longer alive. We can either hold on to it and let it drag us down and defeat us with it, or like this young man, as difficult as it may be, we can choose to break free, move forward so we can experience a new beginning. If something is dead in your life, don't die with it. If something is over and done, don't hold on to it. Let it go. Say, God, they hurt me. It wasn't right, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to relive that memory. I'm going to cut it off and move forward. Sometimes you have to take bold measures to keep making progress. If a dream died, don't die with it. Cut off the broken dream. Cut off the relationship that didn't work out. Cut off the self-pity, the unforgiveness, the negative attitude. Where you're unwilling to walk away is where you're going to become stuck. In the scripture, Job went through a 9-month period where everything that could go wrong did. He lost his health, his business, his family. At one point it says he sat down among the ashes. He was so overwhelmed, so distraught, he thought, this is it. I'll never be happy again. When you go through a loss, a disappointment, there's nothing the enemy would love to see you do any more than to sit down among the ashes. Get bitter, hold on to something that's dead, lose your enthusiasm for life. That's what Job did for a period of time. He sat down. But here's the whole catch. Job didn't stay down. He got his fire back, got his passion back. He rose up out of those ashes. He said, this may be difficult, but I know my Redeemer lives. I know my God is still on the throne. I know I wouldn't be alive unless there was something greater in my future. The scripture says Job came out with twice what he had before. Some of you today, life hasn't turned out the way you had hoped. Gone through some unfair situations. Now, like Job, you're sitting in the ashes, holding on to something that didn't work out, bitter, discouraged. God is saying, if you'll let go of the ashes, if you'll put on a new attitude, I'll